Premier, I'd love to ask you about a Sky News story, if that's okay.
Sure.
Why did staff at Liverpool Hospital give Bondi victim Rosalia Schickberg the Anglo name Karen Jones and remove her Jewish identification when she was admitted to the hospital after the attack? And with all due respect, we have heard from the Health Minister on this, and I'd love to hear from you, Premier, about that.
Look, I've been dealing with it. I'd prefer, to be honest, it's my responsibility and it's my accountability, and the Secretary and I have been dealing with this. This was an issue where, with great intent from the staff, in a pretty hostile and pretty difficult environment, they were trying to make sure that that person was protected in any way, shape or form they could. Was it communicated with her and her partner well? No, it wasn't, and we acknowledge that that could have been done better. I've made that clear. We did that at the time, in our statement made that clear. We were dealing with it with good intent at a very, very challenging time for our state and a very, very challenging time for the Jewish community. In a few weeks' time, I think on 23rd of February, myself and the Secretary will be meeting with them. I want to hear firsthand from them. If there is an opportunity to make any changes to the way in which we do that, we will do that. What we could have done better is communicate with the patient more and better and fairer, and with her family. Now, that's what should have happened, but at the same time, I want to say that our health staff were doing what they thought was best for that individual patient at the time. It was not through any ill that they wanted to do that at all. That is not what they were doing, and I just want to make that clear, although acknowledging the impact that it's had.
Can I get the Premier's personal view on that?
Sorry, we're going to have a press conference and we'll go to a few questions.
Can I answer
the question?
Absolutely.
Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Because I'd like to hear from everybody. I just say in relation to this, clearly it was a mistake. The patient should have been asked about the designation, and we'll learn from it in the future. Yes.
Ryan, just on this.
Yeah.
You said yesterday that the reason the decision was made was external pressures. Were there any external pressures that were identified at the time, and can you be more explicit as to what they are?
Well, the external pressures was that there was a serious terrorism incident that had taken place, targeted at the Jewish community. Decisions were made around that time at a local level that were in the best interests of that patient at the time. As I've said, as the Premier said, it could have been handled better, it should have been handled better, there should have been a dialogue and communication with the patient. That's something we will learn. In a big system like ours, we need to continue to learn. So that's...
Those pressures were more general rather than an explicit threat to the exact patient or direct media contact with the
Yes, more general in nature, given what the Jewish community were experiencing at the time. That was a decision that was made locally by staff at the time with the best intent on the patient. It could have been and should have been handled better, particularly in a dialogue with the patient. That's something that we've learned. That's something that no doubt I'll continue to get feedback when I meet with the family about.
Is the Premier able to speak to how common it is for a Jewish person to experience this kind of treatment at a hospital in Western Sydney? Is this something that's happening regularly, given the climate of anti-Semitism?
For the family, I think I'd let them have their say.
But more generally, is that a common practice that's happening in hospitals, given the climate of anti-Semitism at the moment?
I think that the designation of a different name is reasonably common, but not universal. Liz?
Specifically regarding Jewish patients, is that something that's happening now regularly in this climate of anti-Semitism?
Were aliases given to anyone else? At least
Sorry, I can't hear.
Were aliases given to anyone else? And said at least one other victim was taken to Liverpool Hospital.
We don't believe so. We don't believe so.
Were there other people who were victims of the Bondi attack?
I don't believe that's the case.
So that's ruled out. There weren't other victims of the Bondi attack who were given aliases at Western Sydney Hospital.
Mohammed Farad is on parole after being jailed for 10 months over a string of anti-Semitic attacks in Woollahra. It's our understanding that the state's applying for an extended supervision order, and the DPP is also appealing the leniency of this sentence. Do you have any information about the threat he continues to pose, and can you shed any light about why the state wants that man to continue to be monitored given the current threat environment?
Look, I'm a little bit restricted because it's literally before the court, as in before the court today. But I think I can generally say that authorities, New South Wales Police, the DPP, will take any and all measures to keep the public safe. It's our number one responsibility to keep the community safe, particularly in these times. And for someone who has or has been accused of very serious alleged crimes in New South Wales that carry significant sentences, there's an understandable, I think, concern from the authorities, from the government, from the police, that we need to keep the community safe. And I just want to make it clear, anyone who's accused of where there's significant evidence against an individual for committing one of these horrific offences can expect to have the book thrown at them. We cannot tolerate.
OK, the Premier there, Chris Minns speaking, and I just want to note he would not immediately answer the question about a Sky News exclusive about a Bondi terror attack victim having her Jewish name changed without consent at a Western Sydney hospital after the attack. The Premier later then said the patient should have been asked and it should have been handled better. In regards to supposed external threats, the name change was for the patient's supposed safety.